Welcome back to Let's Make a Game, a channel about making computer role-playing games using the free program Twine and the Sugarcube format for Twine. In this video, I would like to continue talking about my efforts to improve Beneath an Emerald Sky, the game that I made during the 30-day challenge. Last video, I talked about how I had added code to the testing mode of the game, so that it now, as well as keeping track of how often each character won or lost, it also keeps track of the average attributes that a character had, separating their winning attempts from their losing attempts. The point of this is to see whether there are any attributes which are overvalued or undervalued. We want all the attributes to be worth roughly the same. So in this video I'm going to start to talk about the actual code for that. So I didn't used to have this number in a variable. I just had a for loop that goes from 1 to 20, but I've decided to give it a variable because this number is now used in more than one place. It's the number of times we test each character. Currently set to 20, I will probably increase it to 100 so that we can get more useful results, so that the individual sort of randomness of a single run will hopefully be more likely to be cancelled out. But we now have a variable for that. These variables we already had, so I'll skip talking about those. These are new. These three arrays, winner underscore ATT, loser underscore ATT, and starting underscore ATT. In all three cases, ATT is intended to be short for attributes. This is the attributes of a character during their winning attempts. This one is the same but for their losing attempts. And this one keeps track of their current values. Now, you might say, well, hang on, we already have a variable that keeps track of the values of attributes. We have attribute underscore value. Well, the difference is this keeps track of the starting values, whereas attribute underscore value keeps track of the current values. And stamina and willpower in particular change quite a lot during the course of the game, and we want the starting values. These two are two-dimensional arrays because we need to keep track of each attribute, but then we need to keep track of each attribute separately for the four different possible characters. This is one-dimensional because we only need to keep track of one spread of attributes. This is just an explanation of what I've just said. So we have this for loop which goes from 1 to 4 through the four possible characters. We've already had this, but there's a lot of extra stuff added that we need to talk about. First of all, we define the relevant slot of winner underscore ATT and loser underscore ATT as itself being an array. We then have this for loop that goes from 1 to the number of attributes. That's what attribute underscore name.length minus 1 gives you. And we set everything in the new slot of winner underscore ATT and loser underscore ATT to 0 because we're going to be adding stuff to them. And in some languages, every variable starts with a value of 0, but in Twine, every variable starts with a value of undefined. And so if you try to add a number to something that's undefined, it won't give you a number as a result, and so we won't get the results we want. So we need to explicitly set everything to start at 0. We have already talked about this. Once we've rolled the attributes, we store them in starting underscore ATT. And then we just need to run the game, of course, and each run of the game is going to end in either a victory or a loss. And based on whether it was a victory or a loss, we will update the relevant array winner underscore ATT or loser underscore ATT. These arrays actually use totals, so this will keep track of, say, the total strength of all of the times that character 2 won the game. And then when we display them, we divide it by the number of times that character won. But we seem to have run out of time, so I'll talk about the rest of the code in the next video. I hope that was useful or interesting to at least some of you, and I hope you will tune in next time.